Quana, back again with another Handmaid's Tale recap. I hope you guys are doing awesome. So listen, I'm ready to dive into episode 2 entitled Exile to talk a little bit about what's going on with June, what's going on with Serena, what's happening with Luke, Moira, Mark, the whole crew. Hopefully you have had a chance to watch the episode as well, or hopefully you're here because you don't mind spoilers and you've been waiting for someone to talk about the show, and so hopefully I can be that person for you. If you haven't checked out my channel before, hopefully you'll stick around, watch the video, and if you like it, click the like button, give a subscribe, and then hopefully you'll come back for episode 3. But let's dive into episode 2 because I was waiting to find out what the heck happened with Serena after she jumped off that train. And the episode starts with Serena. After she jumped off the train with baby Noah, she arrives in front of a church, and when we see her, she's greeted at the church by a lady. She then goes to sleep, wakes up, and she's in a car. Where she has been transported to, I don't know. I was really thinking, oh Lord, this girl done got kidnapped by somebody and taken back to Gilead. But no, she has reached a place called Canaan, a settlement of nothing but women and children. Just what she was trying to create on the train. Serena truly does always come out on top, and I low-key hate it for the rest of us as we were waiting for this woman to really have a true repentance and to change from the person that helped create Gilead. It's important that, and interesting enough, when she's asked what her name is, she gives them the name Rachel. And of course we know that the whole idea of Handmaids comes from the story of Rachel, Leah, Jacob, and the fact that Rachel was unable to have children, so she asked Jacob to lay with her handmaid Bila and have children on her knees so that those would be her children. Yeah, this is a woman who hasn't learned her lesson yet. We then flip over to June, who, if we remember from the last episode, she is in Alaska now, where she met up with her mom, who's been gone all this time, Holly, and we see her with baby Nicole. She's taking care of baby Nicole, and June gets ready to tell her, the backstory of what happened to Hannah. It's heartbreaking every single time that June has to disclose to someone from past what has happened with Hannah. It's really like opening a wound that never truly heals, and each time she has to go through their reaction, and she's kind of bracing herself for them hating her. But of course, everyone understands the circumstances. You're in literal war. You were literally a prisoner of war. You were literally kept as a slave, for lack of a better term. People understand that they took your child from you, but she, of course, is still battling feelings of guilt, and it's really tragic every single time that she has to tell the story about what happened to Hannah and how she's not, how she's still fighting to get Hannah back. We then head over to Gilead, where Naomi is renovating Lawrence's house and getting rid of all of his crap that she doesn't like. And it's really interesting, the dynamic between the two of them, because of course, Lawrence being Lawrence, he's not looking for a real relationship or a real marriage. He had that with his wife. He's not looking for that with Naomi. He's just looking to placate her and really placate Gilead to make it seem as though he's living by the guidelines of Gilead. He's arguing with her about her throwing out things from his study. But I thought it was really interesting because who shows up is Nick's father-in-law to talk about New Bethlehem and what's going on there, and also Nick shows up. They discuss New Bethlehem, and most importantly, Serena potentially serving as a hostess for the new colony as the ultimate refugee who's been brought back into the world of Gilead. New Bethlehem promises to be a softer, gentler Gilead. Okay. And then we get to Canada, where Luke is temporarily out of jail awaiting trial, and he and Moira go to talk to Tuella to find out, what is happening, how they can be involved, and ultimately how he is getting involved with Mayday to help the rest of the American refugees, one, get out of Canada where things are aggressively becoming more hostile, and two, to further take down Gilead. And of course, Luke is ready to go all in. He's just been biting at the chance to go after Gilead for the last 2 seasons. I really hate the dynamic that they keep showcasing with Luke in these instances, because he keeps jumping in feet first without fully understanding the scope of what he's dealing with. And it really kind of showcases that perspective of someone from the outside of like a war-torn nation, never having really been susceptible to it firsthand, and they don't really seem like they fully understand what this society is capable of. On the one hand, you have your wife with the child that you've been raising over in Alaska, and you are aware that she's in Alaska. Then you of course have your actual biological child still stuck in Gilead. I don't fault him for wanting to fight to get his child back. I just wish that he and June could fully get on one accord and come up with a plan together on how to do that, because their communication sucks big time. We also find out from Rita, because things are becoming so hostile, that she is thinking of rejoining New Bethlehem. I suspect that with the people who are going to New Bethlehem, we're getting teed up for who is going to be a part of the main cast of the Testaments. And it would make sense that Rita could be one of those individuals, someone who knows June and Luke and could eventually tell their children about them. We'll see further development. I've never read the Testaments. I have read the Handmaid's Tale. So if you want to, give a disclaimer down in the comments. If you've read the book and you want to talk a little bit about it, just give a little disclaimer so we know to avoid, anyone who wants to avoid spoilers, avoids your comment. Most importantly, they get a call from June, and Mark meets with Nick to exchange a phone and to get information about border patrols. He spots some information about the members of Mayday being untrained, and then we get a 2-month time jump. Yes, a 2-month time jump, which is not surprising because it's been a while since this show has been on the air. So some time jumps are definitely like necessary, especially because by the time we get to the actress who plays Hannah, before we actually get a chance to see her, we're gonna need some time to have passed, because that girl is growing and getting taller and more ladylike by the day. So we definitely need some time jumps to explain how she suddenly becomes so much older, because only about 7 years or so have passed. So she's definitely supposed to be in the realm of like, she was 12 the last time we saw her, if I'm not mistaken. She's closer to 14 in real life, maybe even 15. It's 2 months later, and Serena seems to be doing well over in Canaan. She's growing crops, she's farming, she's living her best little kind of like slice of heaven life without men, in a world that seemingly is like what she maybe envisioned for Gilead without the men having tainted it. It's a peaceful society with nothing but women and children. People are eating healthy. They're still seemingly very religious, very cult-like. It seems like the kind of place that she would want to stay at, doesn't? But then we go back to Gilead and we find out that things are, like increasingly, like they're stabilizing in New Bethlehem, but they're not getting refugees in. They really do need someone like a Serena to come in and help things. We get this really interesting moment between Nick and his father-in-law, where his father-in-law is talking to him about the lack of father figures in his life, and the father figures that he has had in the forms of Fred and now Commander Lawrence, and how they are not perhaps the best figures in his life. I thought it was also interesting that he mentioned his mother and how his mother had to work, and what mother wouldn't want to stay home with her children. Certainly there are some mothers who don't want to stay home with their children. It's interesting that he seems to heap some of the turmoil in Nick's life onto her and rather not on his abusive alcoholic father. Nick does seemingly kind of like gently push back against that and but then he challenges Nick to make good decisions that will supply his own son with the best possible life. And I think that's very interesting parallel to what we saw in June and Serena in season 3, as they're talking about Nicole and thinking about the lives of the girl children and how Gilead is not set up to supply them with the best possible life. It's only set up to give the sons the best possible life. What kind of life will Nick make for his son, especially given he already has a daughter, and she would not have the best possible life if she were ever to come back to Gilead. And it's a very interesting dilemma that I wish we got more of Nick's perspective, because realistically, this is one of the moments that we've gotten the most information about Nick in the whole entire show. Like, except for the one flashback where we see how he first met Fred, we got more information, I felt, in this like very short conversation than we have in any other time. Because realistically, Nick and June, they're just a trauma bond. We don't see them having had any of these kind of like real conversations in the way that we've seen June and Luke have real conversations. Back in Canaan, the lady who welcomed Serena there, she knows who she really is. And for a moment, there's definitely a setup where they make us believe that this is going to be a repeat of what happened on the train. However, she doesn't. She still manages to accept Serena as she is and challenges her to make better decisions. What can she do to correct the wrongs that she put in place in Gilead? Just as Serena is reflecting on that, who shows up but Lawrence and Naomi? This is about to be some mess. Low-key hate Lawrence. Low-key Lawrence is a good time anytime because he's really hilarious. But Serena looks very smug in this moment. We find out then that Luke and Moira have gone missing. June talks to Martuello and finds this out, and so she has to go to him so that she can try to help get Luke and Moira back because they are somewhere lost in no man's land. Why she would take the chance of going to try to rescue two grown people and leave her baby by herself, I don't know that I would make that same decision. And this is why I say Luke and June can't seem to get on one accord. I agree with loving each other down bad, but at the same time, these adults need to get on one accord for the sake of the children. Please and thank you. Hilarious moment when Holly not only is chastising her daughter and saying, you're kind of crazy for wanting to leave a place where you finally have peace and you can help your baby grow up and you don't have a plan in place, but also you're trusting Mark to take you to meet up with Nick because he's the one who can help you. You are in love with a whole Yahtzee. What are we doing? And I keep going back to people who ship Nick and June. Nick fully knew going in what Gilead was. We can't negate that. Yes, he fell in love with June and tried to rescue June, but he and Lawrence still aren't really actively trying to dismantle everything that Gilead is. They're trying to make Gilead a lighter version of itself. It's still taking away the rights of people, taking away their privileges, putting them as slaves, stripping them of their freedoms. So what are we doing here? Wake up and realize who you're in relationship with, please and thank you. But Holly does do something smart. She demands that June leaves Nicole with her. But June points out, so you can just abandon her too. Like, low blow, okay? That's not, that's not, come on, let's clock it, but let's also tell it like it was, okay? And then there's this hilarious dinner scene with Lawrence over in Canaan, where Serena decides to rejoin him in New Bethlehem, a place that she can kind of maybe help influence Gilead and make it better. The last scene of the episode is just June and Holly reconciling. June telling Holly that baby Nicole was named after her, that her real name is Holly. And then we see Serena and June both go to their new destinations, with June heading to Mayday headquarters in No Man's Land and Serena heading to New Bethlehem. The players are moving into position and we are getting steadily closer to what is likely to be like all-out war, rebellion, a la, Hunger Games Mockingjay Book 3 kind of situation. And I'm here for it, except we're doing that trope that I hate so much, where people aren't really communicating with each other and talking to each other when you're trying to execute battle plans. I don't like it. And also, what is this arc that Serena is on? Girl, either you're going to go against Gilead or you're going to be Gilead. I need someone to make up their mind, please. I would rate this episode a 7. I think I gave the last one 7.5. I'm going to give this one a 7. It was slightly less because it was just really talkative and really just kind of almost expositional. I do like that we're moving the players in place, and I love Lawrence and the Serena dynamic. I would love to see them play against each other a little bit more as well. I just love when anyone becomes aware of who Joseph Lawrence really is, because it's always this look of like aghastness on their face. And I like to see him kind of verbally spar with Naomi. But aside from that, this wasn't really an action-packed episode. It was just expositional. And I felt like some of the exposition we didn't need to see. I won't say that it felt like filler, but I would have just expected in the time span of like whenever June and Holly ended on episode 1 to the 1 or 2 days of rest that she's had since then, that sometime they would have had a conversation information about Nicole and what happened to Nicole and what happened to Hannah. And because we got that same kind of conversation with Luke in either the end of season 4 or the beginning of season 5, I think it was the beginning of season 5 after maybe Fred, because we'd already had that conversation once, we didn't need to see it again. So we got to stop repeating stuff that has already taken place so that we can get to the stuff that's good and the stuff that's new. I'm interested to see what happens with Nick in the next episode. So let me know, what was the standout moment for you in this episode? For me, it was definitely the prayer scene at the dinner table. And I think I failed to mention that we did get a lot of flashbacks to Serena and her father as well, and kind of like some of the inspiration behind her wanting to plant and her wanting to establish Gilead. So just like we got more information about Nick, we got a lot more information about Serena. And I will say, I do appreciate that aspect. Going into the 6th season of the show, we're just starting to learn about some of these characters and their backstories. I don't want to say it's a little too late, but I wish it would have come a little bit sooner. But let me know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments, and I'll see you guys in episode 3. Toodles.